Hello and welcome. This is Kevin, also known as AWOL, and here I am making my version of that Blindsided Creation pattern number 16704. Yes, I did that bracelet before. If you missed the making the pattern, basically I didn't like how the original turned out, and so I had some thoughts about what I could maybe do with a second try. But this time I decided I didn't need it to be so big. The last one had a lot of strings. I don't even remember how many strings. It was a lot. But I decided to make this with a 12 string. Well, it's 6 strings going to the loop, so 12 strings coming down, which is obviously much faster. I much prefer this size of bracelet. And what my thought is bring the pattern, which I have. You'll see it's got the little white boxes with the little pinkish outline. So yeah, it's essentially the pattern has stayed the same, and the idea for the indentations, instead of just 3 strings worth, I brought it all the way into the middle and then all the way back out again. And then for the buttonhole, this idea of putting a hole in the middle of the bracelet, I again, basically have essentially it'd be a chevron if the pattern wasn't complex, coming out, close that all off like I was finishing up the bracelet, and then bring it all back together like I was starting a bracelet, and then going at it. And you'll see all this as we go along. And again, this is one of those things, like I never really do this, so I kind of wasn't sure what I was getting myself into. But at the end of the day, I did learn some stuff. I learned that buttonhole, like in the center of the bracelet, I learned that's actually closer to a button that I might be able to find. The other holes on the previous one were so tiny, I don't even think like a man's dress shirt button would have fit into it. But this is a little bit more reasonable, so I learned, size wise, that would definitely work. The parts that curve inwards or whatever, like that's not completely unknown to me. Like I have done the bracelet where it's just a series of diamonds that kind of closes off and open back up again. But putting it into this perspective, seeing how it would turn out, I definitely don't hate it. Not like the other one where you couldn't see that there was a difference. Here there's a distinct difference, as well as the fact that somehow the white strings all kind of group together and make this little star shape. I don't know, it actually just turned out looking really super cool. So yeah, I kind of dig that. Partially why it's all the white color is the purple on the outside just goes diving straight into the middle right out the gate, and then the other purple just sort of, I don't know, somehow disappears in the whole mix. Yeah, we'll have to. I kind of wasn't really paying attention to that as it was going. Oh, I see it. No, I see it. It does overlap, but it's just outside of the star shape. Yeah, I get it now. Yeah, so here's where it all tapers inwards, and then it comes back out. So you can see, like, I brought it in and then back out. So that's the other side of this, is lining up the colors in the order needed to actually go on with the bracelet. The pattern itself looks like there's some extra zigzags here and there that weren't necessary. I kind of winged it and changed that as I was going along. So there are times where the last knot says to zigzag, but I just let it come out straight. So, and then coming into it, I also did the same thing. So that's a thing. There was a mistake made. I went to grab there were 2 whites, and I was supposed to grab the third white like over here, but I grabbed the second one, started to go over the third, realized, wait, nope, that's wrong. kind of almost noticed almost immediately, but by then I had already gotten it kind of in there tight. So you'll see me with a needle trying to take it out. So there was one mistake in it. Not because the pattern's overly hard or whatever, it was just a careless thing. I was watching Doctor Who, what can I say? But yeah, there's a lot of this is, there's so many little zigzags and there's so little trying to keep the little boxes and stuff all lined up and trying to keep it looking nice. And that fiddliness for this pattern, again, I didn't like it that part the first time, but I thought the look was interesting, and so I wanted to kind of bring that back. Obviously I could have turned this into a different pattern altogether, and still have tried the buttonhole and I don't know, there should be a something named for the sides, tapering in or whatever it is. Yeah, but it's overall, I still have to say it made for something interesting, right? And that's kind of rare for me, because like I feel like I've tried so many things already to do something completely different. That's a bit of a novelty for me. So I definitely did enjoy the challenge overall. The bracelet itself took a little less than an hour to make, which I kind of had predicted when I was making the pattern, that because it's a 12-string bracelet is typically just over an hour, that there was going to be a lot of time saved with these little cutout bits. So I was correct in that aspect. Yeah, so it went really quick. Obviously the purple strings got used an awful lot, so they were a lot shorter. But again, I cut my strings in thirds, so that wasn't a problem. The white strings, they were for the most part fine. Obviously some were used a little more than others, but you can actually correct for that. Most of the time, whenever possible, I was working the knots going to the right, so I was trying to create a shuffle through it. But that's not to say that they didn't get reordered whenever I did like the buttonhole or the other pieces. So I was not being cautious to try to, you know, put them in the same sequence or anything like that. So that was the thing. But yeah, bigger buttonholes, definitely that's kind of neat. And I kind of like the way the purples are on either side for that's kind of a cool look. But yeah, again, there's not a lot of things I've made that require a button. I could see though the possibility of making something like a notebook cover, or I don't know, the possibility of using it is there, is I guess what I'm getting at. And so now I have a couple examples that I could use to be able to determine like what would be a reasonable size for something. In order for that really to work though, I would have to save this bracelet for myself, put it aside somewhere so that way I could measure it out later on. And I'm not sure that that's going to happen. I kind of think that this is going to be one of those ones where, you know, as seen on YouTube, you know, pick it up for a nice low price over on my website. So I don't know. Well, I don't have like a really good like archival spot other than my website. I guess I could measure it out and then put that over my website, so if I ever do want a buttonhole, at least the information will be somewhere where I know where to find it, right? That might work. But yeah, if you want to try this, by all means, I definitely say do it. I would like to see what your outcomes are like, so you could share that over on Discord. I used to suggest Instagram, but like, I don't know, it just, Discord seems like a better place where, you know, we've built up a community and stuff like that. So I think that would make a little bit more sense. Oh, I'm past. See, I almost forget this all the time. Let me thank my Patreon support, or not my Patreon, I don't even have Patreon anymore, my YouTube members for making this possible. without their help, I don't think I'd be making as many bracelets as I do. So yeah, the string, when you go through as much as I do, it adds up, and it's their contributions to make it possible. I used to have a Patreon account, but I kind of did away with it because I can offer so many more benefits to people on YouTube. I can give you the patterns early, you can watch the videos early, the Hangouts, everything that we have now just makes more sense with the YouTube members. So there you go. Yeah, see, this is the second where it tapers in again, and you can see that white just makes it a coolest little star right there in the middle. I love that. I think that's like possibly like the coolest feature of the whole bracelet. Like the buttonhole, not so much, but that little star thing there, that's pretty neat. I don't think that I've necessarily found like a good way. Oh, there's that knot I had to undo. I talked about. I don't think there was really a good way to kind of go about this pattern. I tried it a few different ways. You know, where like when the pink comes in and makes a straight rows, like bringing them both in on both sides and then doing the double row kind of made sense and was a little bit easier, but I don't, you know, don't count on me for like what's the best way of getting through it. I'm not sure that that there was necessarily a perfect or best way of doing this at all. I have to admit though, because the segments were smaller, it was a little bit easier to kind of keep track of where I was at. I didn't have to do the whole cross out method for doing this. I could kind of see, you know, where the road began and bringing it across, things like that. So that worked out pretty cool. If I did the whole bracelet with this pattern, I definitely would probably have to do the whole, you know, tie a little bit and then cross it out on the image to kind of know where I had left off at. But yeah, because each segment was really small, I didn't have a trouble at all with that. Overall though, it is a cute bracelet. It's not my greatest thing I've ever made or anything crazy. It's not, I wouldn't call it beautiful or anything, but it is interesting. It is, I think if this is in my group of bracelets, I'm guessing that this is going to get noticed. I don't know if it gets purchased really quickly or not, but I'm going to guess that it gets noticed more than just the regular ones, because all the other ones are just going to be like patterns and straight rows and just things going on, and this is going to be something different. And yeah, I think that's good to have. I think, you know, you need to have a little something different just to show possibilities and show that you can do things, you know, a little bit more unusual. I think we're getting near the end, not far from at least. If you have any kind of questions, leave it in the comments. If you want to contribute to the Blindsided Creations, all I need is the pattern number, the website you got it from, and the number of strings. And then I will make your bracelet, and possibly like this, maybe even make a couple different versions of it just to see how it goes. Because, you know, it's kind of fun like that. But yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely glad I came back to do this. Like, I think I would have been disappointed if I left it with the other one, but here we go. Here's the end of it, the big reveal. Thanks for watching, and as always, don't get your strings in a bunch.